Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Nerdrotic. My name is Gary Beekler. I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and we are here to cover Westworld Season 3, Episode 1. And before I get started, I will be slightly spoiling the episode, but not much. I'm going to give you my overall thoughts. And this is going to be a short review. We're going to lead right into the Inquisition. If you're watching this in the future, I will link the Inquisition into the description. And you can go over to our good friend, the Overlord DVDs channel, where we will go in depth on this episode. I started covering Westworld about season 1, episode 5, early on in my channel many years ago. God, it's been over a year since we've had the last episode of Westworld, and I will start out by saying that I thought season 1 was pure genius, and if they would have just ended it at season 1, I would have called it one of the best single seasons of television ever, right up there with The Prisoner. But unfortunately, we got season 2. Season 2 happened about a year and a half after season 1, and the climate in Hollywood changed quite a bit, and Westworld was one of the first victims of the current era in Hollywood, which has taken apart so many of our favorite franchises, including Star Trek, Star Wars, and Doctor Who. I know that's BBC, but still, it's entertainment in general. Some stuff has survived, some stuff has been good, but Westworld Season 2 was not. It was a practice in patriarchy and men bad, and they took a couple of characters and that I liked quite a bit, Dolores and Maeve, and turned them into these omnipotent goddesses that were just kind of following around. They lost all their personalities. The Critical Drinker did one of the best videos I've seen on this, covering season 2. I highly recommend you watch that. It says everything I had to say. And I was not very happy with season 2. Dolores is our pro-antagonist that we're following around, and she's just a Terminator walking around. I'm not sure who I'm supposed to be rooting for, and that problem continues in episode 1. It wasn't a terrible episode of television. I like Jonathan Nolan. I'm a big fan of the Nolan family. Okay, so, but I'm not a big fan of the executive producer, who is Jar Jar Abrams. Lisa Joy co-wrote this episode, and Jonathan Nolan directed it. We have, I'm blanking on his name now. The guy from Breaking Bad is now starring in it as a character named Caleb. And we were introduced to a lot of new characters. And as par for the course with Westworld, you don't really know what the hell's going on. We probably were jumping through timelines, although it wasn't completely obvious. And again, I've only seen the episode once. I just got finished watching it. And overall, I thought it was kind of boring. I'm not ready to dip out or pass judgment on this season yet, but it looks like we're getting more of the same from season 2, especially with that ending with Maeve, which we'll get into. So we don't know if we picked up where we left off. I suspect it's 2058, but I could be wrong. They don't tell us the time frame. But we are in civilization. We are in supposedly the real world. And this show, remember, is called Westworld. And it doesn't look like we're going to get much of the actual Westworld. I'm sure it shifted into Western civilization world. And there was the definite political overtones, I'll call them overtones, of capitalism. They get into our healthcare. They get into a lot of that. And there was a couple interesting concepts that I like. The criminal courier Uber that they introduced in that. That was pretty interesting. The thing is, when you're going to do something like this, you need to really try not to be Blade Runner, because it's been done. It's been done so many times. They have to do something different with this. So we don't know. So it's too early to tell. But again, the character of Dolores is not anything that interests me. She's just there to be a fearsome badass. And yeah, she does that. So we start out the episode with some mogul They briefly give us tons of exposition. I mean, ridiculous amounts of exposition in this. As a matter of fact, that's pretty much what the entire episode was. We did get some characterization, but we start out with some mogul in his house, and he wants to sell off his stock in Delos because of the incident. So we know the massacre is now known by the public. It's sometime afterwards. The brand has taken a hit. They've frozen that stock, so you can't sell it until the investigation's over. The guy's a bit of a dick to his wife. He goes to bed. Everybody in this episode drops some kind of tablet, which I believe they don't really tell you, and maybe I missed it, but it's some kind of drug that's connected to an app that you can control, which is interesting and plausible and believable. And he takes this before he goes to sleep. He wakes up with a gas mask on, and Dolores is at his house, and she makes him sign over his fortune because she needs money in this world. And she framed him. She found out that the guy had killed his ex-wife. She puts on some kind of glasses on him where he can see his dead ex-wife. She freaks him out a little bit, has him sign over the money, and then she kills him. Then she kills him and takes off. We follow three main characters. Now, remember, in season 2, Teddy killed himself rather than follow Dolores, but she took out his little brain apparatus, and she's got 5 of them that she can plop into any body. She has the ability to make the bodies if she needs to, and she's in full control again. And I don't know if anybody really suspects she's in this world right now. She's coming to quote unquote dominate it. We don't know what her goals are, but she's setting up a game. She's even set up her antagonist, which is Bernard. We find out Bernard is working in he's a butcher in some butcher plant in some different country. He is a wanted man. We have found out through a quick scene with Charlotte that Delos the company doesn't seem too concerned about Delos, even though the stock has taken a hit. They have some IPs that are of value. And she said that they're bona fide now, that there was actual death, and nobody really cares because it was just board members and some employees. But Bernard is a wanted man, and they made Bernard the patsy. And a couple of his co-workers find out and kick his ass. But then we find out in this scene that Bernard can question himself. He's got this little switch where he can turn himself on and off and self-evaluate. And he has the ability to turn himself into a super Bernard and kick ass if he needs to. And he does that with a couple of employees who find out that he's a wanted man and they were going to turn him in. Again, there was a ton of exposition. Caleb is the new character. And again, I brain fart. I know the guy's name, but he's the kid from Breaking Bad and the recent El Camino that was on Netflix. He is an ex-soldier, an ex-government worker. We're not too sure. He's going through a crisis. He lost either a lover or a friend. I'm not quite sure. He's talking to this lover or friend the whole time, but we find out it's just an app that he unsubscribes to later. But through these phone conversations, we get a background that he considers himself on the lower end of the spectrum in life, a bit of a loser, not very ambitious. He is part of some program, which might be an ex-government program to help soldiers or something recover. They don't really say. They keep it very ambiguous. And as we follow him around, we learn a little bit, but as much time as we spent on exposition, I know his name. I know he might have been an ex-soldier. They repeated a flashback over and over again, very slowly, until you find out that his friend was dead and he wasn't really talking to him, which I knew that from the beginning. If that was supposed to be a surprise, it didn't surprise me very much. And those are the 3 main characters we followed through. Maeve gets in with a guy named Liam, who owns a company named Insight that's got some kind of big AI apparatus that's called, what's it called? Rohub? Rohobome. And apparently it controls everything, traffic, absolutely everything, because that's always good. And that's believable and plausible too. She gets in with him, and she gets found out by a security, and they were going to take her out and kill her. But she, woke up, and this was probably all part of her plan. As it was part of her plan to infiltrate Liam's security, and she kills his chief of security and replaces him. This could be Teddy. I don't know which character it is who's in Charlotte, because remember Charlotte died in episode 2. So it might be Teddy. It might be somebody else. And that's pretty much the episode. We follow Dolores following Liam around. She infiltrates Liam. We follow Caleb around as we get to know him a little bit. And he works, he's a welder, or works construction on a building. He's got a robot buddy. And Bernard is on the run. At the end of the episode, Bernard wants to go back to Westworld, and he does that. And that was pretty much the episode. There's some, they didn't go back to Westworld. They gave us a little background, what happened. There was no Man in Black. There was a stinger at the end with Maeve, where Maeve is in Westworld, and she is in Yahtzee, Germany. Yahtzee, Germany. Apparently, she has been placed back into the park even after she had this her omnipotent powers turned on. So she must have woken up again, and that's where the episode leaves. So again, it was just kind of boring. It wasn't as offensively bad as season 2 was at the end. I know some people disagree with me on that, and that's fine. But Westworld season 2 deconstructed everything they had built up, unfortunately, in season 1. And I think that's due to the shift, and we'll see if they continue that. I hope not. Again, I have faith in Nolan. I think he's a talented guy, but sometimes talent doesn't win out over agenda. But we'll find out. I thought it was just a so-so episode. I don't know. This looks like a very expensive show, and it'll probably get pretty good ratings, but considering the times we're in right now, maybe a lot of people will be sit down and watching it, but it's what's missing. What this first season had a little bit. I mean, it's all been dark, but it's just the nihilism that runs through Hollywood. I don't know about you guys, but I think this could have been a fun story to tell. It looks like they're definitely following the Westworld sequel, where they replace all the titans of industry with robots to take over the world. It looks like they're following that plot. And we'll see. It's something they could have a lot of fun with. But this show lacks levity at all. I mean, it's just dark and grim. And I think you could have fun with a story like this, still keeping it a little dark. But yeah, it's just a little joyless. And it's written by somebody named Lisa Joy. Strange, isn't it? And again, I got to keep this very short tonight. This is basically, I don't have time to record a video for this because next week I might be heading down south. So I had to do a quick review that I'm going to keep on the channel. And we'll get to you a little bit here. 200 Watt Studio. It just occurred to me, why are there so many F-bombs in Picard? It's the version of Avasarala. Another thing copied from The Expanse. It is. That's a good point, 200 Watt Studio, and we could talk about it on the Inquisition. Thank you for the $5. The Dude 1764, just stopping by to say a quick hello, everyone. Going to turn in a bit early tonight. Be safe, everybody. And yes, thank you, Dude 1764. Everybody be safe. That's the most important thing to be, is safe. I don't know if there's going to be interest in this show. I don't know how many people are actually excited about it. And we'll see how things unfold. It definitely has the mystery box feel to it that honestly can work sometimes, but not when Jar Jar's involved. The unreliable narrator is it can be done well and it can be done horribly. It can hide a lot of flaws, or it's an attempt to hide a lot of flaws in storytelling. And I think you have to be Mr. Robot did this well in its first couple of seasons. And again, Westworld did it well in season 1. And of course, Fight Club, one of the most famous unreliable narrators, a brilliant film there. But yeah, I don't know. It's too early to tell. I wasn't very impressed with the first episode. And it just looks to me like it's going to be more of season 2. We're going to have Super Maeve take on Super Dolores in a super battle at the end. And, every chance they have to show somebody in charge, they show the strong, powerful female in charge. Now, that's what they did last season. They didn't really do that much this episode. But again, we only followed 3 people. So I'm not really sure. And I'll go for a couple more minutes here. I'm going to hang on a second and make sure. I'm going to go over here. And I'm going to drop the link in the description of the Inquisition. I'm going to jump over there. And yeah, so this is going to be a short one, folks. I'm going to jump on over to the Inquisition and we can go over in depth. Hello, Heiress of Chaos and Michael Sagriff and Atari for Life and According to Christie and Jukleman and James Dugan and Trace Adams. Bagman, Stray Dog, Bionic Belly Button. Thanks everybody and Xenoworks. Thanks everybody for showing up. I will continue to review the rest of the series. So how it's going to work is because the Inquisition goes back and forth between channels. Next week we'll cover it with Doomcock. And what I'll do is keep the first half hour of the show up on this channel. Usually I unlist it and put it over on Nerdrotic Live, but I'll keep the review up. And then if you want to watch the rest, you can jump on over to Nerdrotic Live where I put all my live streams, or you can, there'll be a link in the description for you and we'll make it easy. And hopefully it gets good. I want this show to be good because I loved season 1 so much. And I always mispronounce his name, but Rami Dewaldi, the guy who did the music for Game of Thrones, Westworld, even through the bad season 2, it had a great soundtrack. The music is perfect for this show. It's so good. The effects look pretty good. The directing was good. And I can't say much for the acting though, because there was so much exposition and Dolores is just a blank creature of just a little bit of rage, but that's it. And I don't know, am I supposed to be rooting for Dolores? Cause I'm not. So if she's the bad guy, are we watching an antagonist story? Is she supposed to be an anti-hero? I don't know. I suppose you're supposed to be rooting for her, but she helped execute like a bunch of humans in a park, and not all of them were bad. And just being a rich a-hole does not, you don't deserve to die for that. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. So I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be rooting for. Bernard, they completely destroyed Bernard in season 2. He was a great character in season 1 and he turned into a bumbling idiot. So I don't know. It looks like we're back to old Bernard, which would be good. And one of the best things about the show wasn't even in the first episode. Ed Harris's Man in Black, who again was destroyed. And I'll end it with this. This is the part that pissed me off the most about season 2. And again, we don't know what's really going on, what timeline we're in, so they could undo this. And that's kind of what I was waiting for throughout season 2, for them to undo some of the damage they did, and they might do it in future seasons. But man, that's a lot of faith if you're expecting people to kind of hang in there, because he killed his daughter last season, towards the end of the season. And I don't think it was an accident that episode aired on Father's Day. And as a dad, you know what? I get a little tired of the bad dad, the bad father scenario that we've been going through so much with Hollywood. Of course, we know the great Tywin Lannister was executed on Father's Day as well. So HBO has a problem with dads, I guess. That's the way I see it. I don't think that was an accident that happened twice in 2 different shows. Just saying. So we'll end it right there. Again, please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you heard. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I dropped that link in the description. Go over to our future ruler of Earth Overlord DVD, Doomcock himself, and we will talk about it more over there later. In the meantime, thanks for watching. And not all who wander are lost. And if I can find that. All right, bye-bye.